Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat basketball channel and the Miami Heat Zone podcast. The Miami Heat just lost in a disappointing game versus the Denver Nuggets. It was 103 to 97. Tough game tonight, Martel. It was back and forth in the second quarter and the fourth quarter, but the Miami Heat just weren't good enough tonight, and we started off really slow. Tough loss, even though we fought back in the end, but it just simply felt like we had no chance. We never had the lead in this game. Denver had control of the game. Even when we did claw back, they just kept scoring in a timely fashion. So I'm disappointed, kind of sad right now. But what are your thoughts, Martel, overall on this game? How do you feel?
Listen, man, Trent said it like 100 times before. When you play against these Western Conference teams, you got to come correct because they're known for scoring the ball. You know what I mean? The Denver Nuggets, they've been together. It's kind of just like the Miami Heat. The Denver Nuggets have been with each other, their core. They've been together for a while now. You know what I mean? And especially how they have a great coach in Mike Malone. We can't sleep on him. You know what I mean? So with Murray, with Michael Porter Jr., with the Joker, like Joker, all these guys, they've been together for a long time, and you could just tell they don't really do anything crazy or amazing, but they're all connected. And if you can't score and put up points with the Western Conference, it's gonna be a flashback of the finals all over again.
Yep, that was the first quarter. 20 points in the first quarter is just not good enough. And it's not just always how you start, it's obviously how you finish, but starting off on a good foot is something that the Miami Heat typically needs to do when they win games this season. And when we have quarters where we're scoring barely 20 points, it's going to be a rough night. So 20 to 36 first quarter, we just could not shoot at all. Jimmy wasn't being really aggressive in the first quarter, which is kind of surprising. You thought like on a national night like this that he would be coming out guns a blazing because he's been sitting out, for a while until he's played, after the All Star break. So he should be fresh. But yeah, just we could not score in that first quarter, and they were moving the ball seamlessly. Like Jokic wasn't even shooting. Like he took like one shot, I think, in that first quarter, and they still were destroying us. So frustrating start. We haven't been able to score 100 on this team since last year. We didn't even score 100 on them, I don't think, even in the regular season. I know in the playoffs we didn't score, or the finals, excuse me, against them, we didn't score over 100 points once. So offensively, we continue to struggle, man. I think that's like the biggest issue because our defense initially was struggling in that first quarter, but we picked it up in that second quarter, and we got 31 points to their 20, and we were back in the game. So I guess, how do you feel about them defensively in this game? Because we know offense, that's going to be a struggle, for the remainder of the season and in the playoffs.
See, but that's where it really comes down to matchups because when you look at their team, they're small. They're still small. You know what I mean? Because think about it, Bam has to do so much. Yeah, we have Orlando Robertson, and yeah, we have Jovic, which I think, Jovic actually played pretty well. But when you lack athleticism and size and rebounding, sometimes you're gonna get just outworked by that alone. You don't necessarily have to be more talented, but I think the Denver Nuggets, bro, they're way more talented than the Miami Heat. They could hurt you in a lot more ways than the Miami Heat, just from rebounding and just from their athleticism alone with Aaron Gordon, all those different things like that. That's that's literally the Miami Heat's weakness. And then, like I said, if Jimmy Butler is not leading this team in these type of games, we're most likely going to lose because it's really hard for this Miami Heat team to just say, okay, well, we're going to go out there and just outwork everybody It's hard to do that for 82 games. And when your best player isn't at the front leading you guys, trying to get you over the hump, it's hard for the guys to follow. And like I said, I know a lot of people, they're going to say, oh, it's a regular season game. And I understand that, but you want to see how the Miami Heat match up against these other teams that are a lot better than us. We don't want to just beat bad teams. We want to see, okay, can this Miami Heat offense be consistent enough to win big games?
We haven't been all year. I mean, we haven't beat the Celtics. We haven't beaten the T Wolves, even though we played them only once, and I think they're pretenders. Honestly, we haven't beat the Thunder. I mean, they're obviously a very good team, but they're really young, and I don't think they have enough to win a championship yet. I think they're like 2 years, maybe 3 years out from actually contending. and we haven't been able to beat the Nuggets, even though this is the first game. I don't see us beating them at home. I think we're playing them in a few weeks either. So haven't beat the Clippers, even though we were, I think, missing Jimmy for one of those 2 games. So no excuses though. Like we have only beaten the Bucks, and we're what 2-1 against, or 1-2 against them even. So we struggle against the top teams. I'm not worried about the East except for the Celtics, honestly, but it's going to be hard to get past the Celtics. Even if we do get past them, to your point, it's going to be hard for us to beat the Nuggets. I just don't see us beating this team 4 times in a 7-game series, especially when they have home court advantage. So that is a tough arena to win in during the regular season. Obviously, in the playoffs, the altitude is obviously an issue, of course, but the biggest issue is that that team has the length and size and the skill set where they can spread the floor, they can all shoot threes, they can rebound, they can bang. Aaron Gordon is just so frustrating to watch, man. Like that guy always cooks the Miami Heat, and he does it in the low post. Like he doesn't do anything fancy. He just uses his sides. He backs down players, and if he misses, he's athletic enough to rebound his own miss and put it back in. He did that like multiple times tonight, and in the finals, he did that a ton, especially when Gabe Vincent was guarding him, which was super frustrating. So I agree with you, man. The Miami Heat's Achilles heels is tall, lengthy players, but with a skill set like Michael Porter, with Aaron Gordon, who could spread the floor, who can play in the post. Tough game, man. And again, though, defensively, though, I just want to give the Miami Heat credit because we were able to stop Jokic in the first half to a certain degree. We held him to 2 for 8. He wasn't being super aggressive. He was being more passive, distributing to his team like he typically does. But we did good defensively. And again, it's just the offense is just so frustrating, man. Like we just, when Jimmy's not playing aggressive and efficiently and getting to the line, and then when Bam Adebayo shooting inefficiently, it's tough to win. And I mean, shooting, I think, was the biggest issue. Like, what do you think the biggest issue was tonight offensively? Like, who can we pinpoint this on the most?
Like I said, I think the overall roster played pretty well. I think that we could have got a little bit more production from the bench. And listen, I know it might sound crazy, but these are the games where you also miss Kevin Love because he's
Mm.
another big body down low that can not only rebound, but he's also floor spacing. And now you're moving, Nikola out of the paint. You're spacing the floor so Jimmy now can get to the rim because with Aaron Gordon and with all these guys packing the paint, it's hard for Bam and it's hard for Jimmy to work down low. So especially like a game like this where we're playing in size, Kevin Love was definitely missed.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's our most important role player. He's been playing so well off the bench in limited time. Like, he played 15 minutes against the Kings and had 19 points. So, his ability to hit those timely 3-pointers, obviously get those defensive rebounds, and then his full court outlet passes is something that we could have used tonight, especially. But tough not having Kevin Love out there. Tough not having Jay Rich even out there, maybe. I mean, because I don't know why DeLon Wright didn't play like at all. I feel like he played only like 5 minutes less, 3 minutes. Um, Not having Tyler Hero though, I think was just huge. Like he's someone that I wanted to see in the regular season, and hopefully he will play in the next 2 weeks when we play them again. But he's someone that can create his own shot, someone who's willing and is never hesitant to shoot and who could break a defender down, kind of like a Terry Rozier does. But Terry kind of is passive at times. You know, he's still trying to fit in and sacrifice, as he's mentioned. Tyler, we need someone that can essentially get us a bucket, like when things are stale and stagnant, and like possessions were stagnant where we were being too unselfish. I don't know if you noticed in the fourth quarter, especially, we're being too unselfish, moving the ball around too much, especially with Jaime, Caleb, and Duncan in there. And we're shooting the ball late in the shot clock. And Gordon and Porter Jr. were getting blocks on us. Like they're just too big, too tall. And we need folks to step up. And Jimmy and Bam played okay tonight, but they both had over 20 points. But they were very quiet, like they weren't efficient, they weren't aggressive enough. So I'm looking at the box. We Denver didn't play good either. I credit our defense, for that. Like they didn't play the best, but they also were missing Jamal Murray for the second half, who's their second best player. So that was pretty big that he was out, but they still were good enough where they beat us without their second best player, which is frustrating. I know we have injuries too. Tyler's out, Jay Rich is out, etc. But still, none of those guys are as important as Jamal Murray is to this Denver Nuggets team. So I think the biggest thing though is just 3-point shooting, 27%, 7 for 26. Like that's huge because if you look at Denver, they shot 35% from three, which is pretty good. I mean, I guess compared to 27, obviously, but we shot 42% from the field. They shot 43. We had 14 turnovers. They had 15. Like we got to the line 24 times to their 21, but they shot 90% to our 83. So Jimmy missed some big ones, free throws in that fourth quarter, which was frustrating. But we out rebounded him too, which is insane. Like we rebounded 45 to 41. We both had 9 offensive boards. So like I think it was the 3-point shooting just was one of the biggest issues, I guess, and just that Jimmy and Bam weren't aggressive enough to start. I mean, what are your thoughts on just Jimmy tonight? 21 points on 7 for 17 shooting and 6 for 9 from the line.
I mean, listen, I said it 1,000 times. It's like we go as far as Jimmy Butler takes us. Like this game tonight to end the road trip, that should have been like a solid 30-point game from Jimmy Butler. To close it out in Denver, we're gonna need Bill because the thing is, look, Bam Adebayo, he has to do so much. Can you imagine guarding Joker the whole game? His passing, his size, his post, him stretching out to the three. He's doing so much. So even though Bam, it's very hard for Bam to have like a 35-point game or a 30-point game because he's playing both ends at an elite level. And same with Jimmy Butler. Don't get me wrong. And these are the games where we got to see, okay, can Tyler Hero be the third option? Can he be our Aaron Gordon? Can he hit those timely shots? Can he get to the rim? Can he do certain things to alleviate some of the pressure off of Jimmy and Bam? These are the games where we really need to see Tyler Hero and see where his value is, to be honest with you. He's really the guy that we got to look at. But when it comes to Jimmy Butler, yeah, these are the games where we need like a 30 piece from Jimmy. But it's the regular season, you know what I mean? We're not really going to always get that. But, it's just hard because I'm telling you, sometimes talent will outwork you. Talent is talent because when you have another team that's really good or they're just as good as you or better, but they have talented players, it's hard to win games like that, man. I know people will say the altitude and we never win in Denver and all this stuff like that. We won in the playoffs that one game. But we have to be able to match up with these guys. But the problem is it comes down to roster construction and health.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, we had a shot tonight as bad as we played offensively, so I guess that's a good sign, but I don't want to hear the excuses from Heat fans about the altitude, and this is like the 4th game on a 4-game West Coast road trip. Like they just had all-star break, and these guys are professional athletes. Like, come on, like you're in good shape. This is your job. Like, no excuses. Injuries, we can't use an excuse because obviously they lost their second best player. So we just didn't get it done. And I think the 3-point shooting actually was one thing that killed us overall. Like at different points of the game, it was different reasons why we were struggling, but we made adjustments and we stayed in the game. And it was just literally the first and fourth quarter were horrible. Like the second quarter, it was the first quarter and the third quarter. We played good in the second quarter, and the fourth quarter we outscored them 31-20 in the second quarter, 27-20. I mean, we held the Nuggets to 20 points in 2 quarters and under 30 points in 3 out of the 4 quarters. So again, defense was good, but it was just the 3-point shooting. I mean, Jimmy was 1 for 4, Duncan 2 for 6, and Terry Rozier 1 for 8. And we didn't really talk about Terry. He had 19 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 6 for 15 from the field, but 1 for 8 from 3. Again, back and forth inconsistency, like across the board from all our players. Like he started off a little slow, got a little bit better in the second quarter. Third quarter wasn't playing that great. Fourth quarter, he had some huge threes, some good mid-range shots, some good layups, basket off the glass. Like he kept us afloat in that fourth quarter and helped bring us back when we were down by 15 again in the fourth quarter. But 1 for 8, man, like he's just been so bad at threes. Like he's been shooting 25% since he joined the Miami Heat, man. So I mean, do you think it was his knee bugging him? Like he had no lift. He airballed like two. What are your thoughts on Terry tonight?
Listen, Terry's still getting acclimated, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but as you can see, he's starting to ramp it up. You know what I mean? Because, like, what do you have, 17, 19 points tonight? He was
19.
balling tonight. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's finally being Terry that we need, because for this Miami Heat team to compete, he's going to have to create rim pressure. He's going to have to be aggressive, and he's going to have to look for his own shot. You know, like I said, I really want to see what Tyler Hero looks like in this offense. He's our quote unquote third best player. You know what I mean? So it's really hard to judge this team, and we're not fully healthy. Same thing like with Josh Richardson. I know that he's not a, huge impact player, but he's gonna bring his defense, and he was playing well before he got hurt. So overall, like I said, until Jimmy Butler really does take over, that's the only shot that I could see. But I think Terry was good tonight. He's
Yeah.
doing his thing. He's definitely getting his shots up, and that's what we need from him.
Yeah. I mean, the game could have been different if he shot 3 for 8 from three. Like sometimes it just takes one or two baskets um, that can completely change your outlook on the game. Because I mean, he did play good in general. Overall, had some big moments. Wasn't just his fault. I mean, we didn't get that much production off the bench outside of Caleb Martin, who looked good. He had a finger injury earlier in the first quarter, and he played through it, and he had 13 points, 9 rebounds off the bench, 5 for 10, 2 for 3 from three. So he was good. Jaime, though, 1 for 5, 27 minutes, 3 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. So I think we needed him to step up a little bit more. Jovic started and he played 25 minutes and he looked pretty good out there, man. 7 points, 6 rebounds. He was not very efficient, 3 for 8 from the field, 1 for 4 from three, but he had 2 steals and he didn't get bullied out there. Like Aaron Gordon and Jokic um, tried to play a little bit of bully ball on him, but he held his own. So I don't know. Let's end on the two youngsters. What are your thoughts on how they played tonight?
They're getting reps, you know what I mean? Because like when it comes to the young guys, they're not always gonna play great, and that's fine. They're still early in their career, but I'm glad that Spo is playing both of them because like I said, they're gonna need these game time reps. They're gonna need this experience. They're gonna need to play with Jimmy Bam and Tyler. That's what young players need, and I'm glad that Spo's playing both of them. They're gonna make mistakes. They're not always gonna have the best games, but I'm glad they're at least playing and they're getting game time reps because you can't replicate that in the G League or in practice or in shoot around. They got to be in these tight games to have that experience, especially going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I was happy that Jovic got extended minutes. There's a lot of times when earlier in the season when he would start and he would probably play just like 12 minutes,
Yeah.
16 minutes and not come back in the second half. So for him to play against a top caliber team from the Western Conference and to be effective out there, 7.6 rebounds, like I'll take that from him. And just he needs the experience to your point. He needs the reps, he needs the confidence. And I think Spo is doing a good job of giving him that confidence and that trust that hey, even if you're not shooting very well tonight, we still trust you to be out there to help us rebound and help us in the transition. And he had some good transition plays where he was leading the break and playmaking, like he wasn't, too aggressive offensively outside of the first quarter. But in that first quarter, he had some good moments. He hit a three and he hit a bucket in the paint and was rebounding well. So happy to see that he got some opportunities tonight too. And we'll need him moving forward, especially now because every game is so critical. And obviously there's still plenty of time left. There's what, 23, 22, 24 games, somewhere in that range left. And our schedule is only going to get easier now. And, after that last game, which is always going to be the toughest again, after you are on a 4 game road trip, ended it in Denver, super tough. But we're going to play against I think the Jazz next. And then we're going to play the Pistons and like Wizards. So hopefully we can get on a streak because all it takes is losing one game on a Thursday night like tonight, Martel, and we went from the 5th seed to the 8th seed. So we're 33-26, and the Magic won tonight. The Pacers won last night against the Pelicans, and so we're in the 8th seed, which sucks. Like, because if this was the last game of the regular season, then we would have been in the play-in. So like, it would have mattered more then. So we still have plenty of time to make up ground. We're only, let's see. We are only a game and a half from the 4th seed still because the Knicks did not play tonight, or they did. Did they beat the Warriors? I'm not sure if they did or not. I think
I
they
don't
played
know.
the
I
Warriors
don't know
tonight.
if they did.
Yeah, they played the Warriors tonight. Not sure what that outcome was. Let me check real quick.
Yeah, they lost. They lost.
They lost to the Warriors. Okay, great. That's huge. So yeah, we're only a game and a half back, but every game's important, and this
Every
next
game counts, man. Every game counts.
yes, it does. And so we're playing the Jazz on Saturday night, and so that's another game that we must win. And it's at home, so we're going to finally be at home again, which I think is going to be beneficial for these players since they've been on the road for so long. So
Bro, we've been on the road for like it feels like a month.
yeah, I mean, at least we got most of the road games out in the beginning of the year. Like we played the most road games in the first 30 games of the season compared to anybody else. So, and I think that's helped us. I think throughout the season right now because we're 18-13 on the road. Let me see, 18-13 on the road, which is like the 6th best record in the NBA. So we're a better road team than a home team, which is kind of
Yeah.
ironic. So, maybe playing on the road is a good thing. We're only 15-13 at home. So, but we should be able to beat the Utah Jazz. And hopefully with that victory, we can jump back up to like the 6th seed and avoid this play-in at all costs. Because again, we can't be a play-in team. We need to get at least the 5th seed or the 6th seed at all costs. So anyway, any last thoughts, Martel, you have?
Make sure you guys like, share, comment, subscribe. Amir, he's pushing to 1,000 subscribers, and I'm pushing to 4K. Let's go.
Yeah, thanks for the time, Martel. It's good chatting with you. All right, guys. Thanks again.